Good day, everyone. In this video, we are going to continue the discussion on the history. In the previous video, we have studied the origin of Chinese medicine. Where does Chinese medicine come from? From ancient times to 2100 BC. From 2100 BC to 476 BC, this period was mainly the Xia dynasty, Shang dynasty, and Zhou dynasty. These three dynastics, because there were not a lot of records, especially the written records that were from these dynastics for 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. So the information for these dynastics was mainly from archaeologies. We're going to introduce some of the philosophies in the philosophy thoughts in this period. The first is the story, the oracle bones inscriptions, the qi, essence, and spirit or mind. We're going to yin and yang theory, the 5 elements theory. We're going to study in the basic theory. So these three we will discuss in detail in basic theory. So here we only give you a very brief introduction. We're going to introduce one story that's related to Chinese medicine and 8 trigrams. The oracle bones were quite an old Chinese writing. As we discussed previously, that's in the dynasty flow. If you still remember, if you see that's the Xia dynasty, Shang dynasty, and Zhou dynasty. And when we go to the Qin dynasty, I use another background. We use the yellow background highlighted. As I said, after Qin dynasty, the country of China were united and was united until now. When they united, the first emperor changed the character. They uniform all characters into one official language. That's the character we are using now. But the oracle bones were in Shang dynasty, which in the middle. That was about 3,000 years ago. This character was not the character we are using now. So it's even for Chinese, it is very difficult to understand. We only can recognize some of these characters. And these characters, these characters, although were from 3,000 years ago, the discovery of the oracle bones was only recently, in late 19th century, in 1899. So the year of 1899. The discovery of the oracle bones, the character, like this, you can see this oracle bones in our museum. We have a lot of oracle bones now. The discovery of the oracle bones. This in 1899. There's one gentleman. He was the president of the education, the imperial education. So he worked for the government. He was the president of the imperial education. He suffered from diarrhea, and he went to see the Chinese medicine practitioner. The Chinese medicine practitioner prescribed one very common herb, 龙骨. So he prescribed this one of the herbs, 龙骨. Longgu. This herb, when they translate, it can translate into English as dragon bones. The dragon bones is actually the fossil of the animals. So this herbs, it's not herbs, but in Chinese medicine we use the term herbs to refer all kinds of medicine. So this medicine, Longgu, the dragon bones, is a kind of fossil, can be used to countermine, to stop diarrhea. So when this gentleman went to see the Chinese medicine doctor, the doctor prescribed these herbs. He went to the pharmacy to get the herbs, and he realized there's some characters on the broken bones. So he asked the pharmacist, where did you get these bones from? And then the pharmacist took him to the supplier, and he bought all of these bones because he knew this is a very precious treasures for the Chinese character. That's how the bones kept, how the character kept until now. This is just the coincidence. If this, if the patient is not the president of the education, if if he didn't have the knowledge of the character of the Chinese character, no one will know these are the old writing. So now we have these bones, and these bones mainly used for witchcraft, for the spiritual pre prediction in the past. They keep the records, and they can find the words there. And now, why, when we study the history, we introduce the background of these bones, because on the bones we can recognize some words that's related to medicine. This is also another proof that in the 3,000 years ago we already have the knowledge of medicine. For example, this character is one of the characters from the oracle bones. This is translated into decayed tooth. So when you take this off, this part off, so this kind of character is like drawing. You draw a mouth, that's your mouth, the teeth, and you got two teeth, and the two teeth, that's the mouth. And then they draw the one, something in between. So this indicates the toothache due to the wounds. So that's the original Chinese writing. Where does the current writing come from? For example, this writing is the moon, the one we are using now. How does it develop from the original to here? That's when we see the moon, they draw the moon like this, and then it become the letter, become the character, and become like this. So from the drawing, you will know the knowledge behind the drawing. When you see words, people draw like this, you will understand that they knew something happens to the teeth. Something happened in the gum, that's the wound, that's a kind of toothache, the kinds of decayed tooth. They knew the wounds might be the possible reason for this disease. So that were kept in the oracle bones. And this is the writing. It's the old writing of the rain. So as you can see, when the rain from the sky, the rain. So they draw like this as the rain. This is the new character we are using now. This is the character of water. This is the character we are using now. So as you can see, the drawing from oracle bones is from the understanding of the actual phenomena. So when you see the wounds there, you knew that the people there at that time they understood that it might be the infection, kinds of wound, although they don't know the infection, they might be the wound damage to the teeth. The qi and axons of spirit the mind. We're going to clarify the spirit and mind. The spirit and mind. We don't use spirit, we rather use mind. We're going to clarify it in the basic theory. So we're not going to discuss a lot here. Yin and Yang theory and 5 elements theory. These 3 theories are very important in Chinese medicine and acupuncture. We're going to apply this theory in on all patients in all your practices. So these 3 theories are very important. We're going to introduce in the basic theory. Just in general, the yin and yang describe something opposite. For example, this the images of yin and yang. These 2 images, this one looks better, but this one is the law of the nature. So this one is not the law of the nature, although we use this symbol more often, but this is the correct one. How to draw this line? Where does this line come from? We're going to explain in the next slides. The 5 elements, the wood, fire, the earth, the metal, the water. We're going to use these 5 elements. We're going to use the relationship between or among these elements to explain the relationship of our organs. Also, the relationship between or among the objects in the world. These philosophies, these theories were not developed for Chinese medicine. They were developed to explain everything in the universe, to explain all of substance objects in the universe. And then we employ this theory into Chinese medicine. So you actually can use all these theory to explain all kinds of phenomena. The 8 trigrams. We don't use the 8 trigrams a lot in Chinese medicine, but this is also very important thought in Chinese culture. The 8 trigrams develop from the yin and yang theory. When yin and yang theory, yin and yang, they draw as 2 lines of yin, 1 line as yang. So 2 as yin, 1 as yang. When you combine with yin and yang randomly, three, either yin yang yin, yin yang, it becomes like this. Then this you can recall the trigrams. The 8 trigrams. The 8 trigrams also can explain the more complicated world, because yin and yang were a bit too simple to explain the world. The phenomenon in the world is more complicated than 2 opposite parts. So we need to use a more comprehensive analysis. The 8 trigrams. Where does yin and yang come from? The yin and yang originally, it comes from, it's actually saying that the earth facing the sun. So the one facing the sun or not facing the sun, the one facing the sun is yang, the one not facing the sun is yin. So how to draw the line in between? They put a pole on the floor, on the ground. So how to draw the line initially? That's the ground. They put a pole there, and then the sun. When the sun here, you can see the shade here. And then as the sun move around, the shape will change. With the shades, they mark here and then here, closer. So as the sun move, the shape change to different area. When you mark on the floor, you will see this line drawing there. The pole is in the center. So you can see the shape of the sun. So this is the S line. The S line actually give you the 24 solar tones. We're not going to introduce a lot about the yin and yang theory because we don't really focus on where does they come from. We focus on the law of yin and yang, the application of yin and yang. Also in future, we use a lot of theory in the Chinese philosophy. For example, the essence, the qi, the mind or the spirit. We don't really care what they are, what substance they are, because we don't focus on the philosophy, but we do focus on the movements, the law of the qi, the law of essence. What is relationship? What are the movements of these yin and yang? What are the relationship of yin and yang? We focus on the function. We focus on the philosophy. So we more focused on the we more focused on the applications instead of the philosophy itself. When you come to the medicine, solely we have introduced the title of this book. It describes the different specialities of the doctors. It also is the earliest book that we can see now has the classification of medicine. So it describes it categorized the herbs into 5 flavors according to the 5 elements, into 5 grains according to different grains of the herbs. Shi Jing is another book. We also have mentioned this book. Shi Jing, I said that when we introduced the story of Dr. Tu Youyou, her name is from Shi Jing. In this book, it is describes 50 kinds of herbal medicine. In San Hai Jing, this book is a geography book that describes the geographical characteristic of China. It's a very old book, also in more than 2,000 to 3,000 years. It describes the 126 kinds of medicine, including 67 kinds of animal products, 52 kinds of herbal medicine, 3 kinds of mineral drugs, 1 kind of water, and 3 of them we don't know. We have the name, but we don't know what they are. So this book have recorded all these medicines. As you can see from the records here, development of medicine also from very little to more and more. That's the accumulation of the experience. That's also another proof. That's the medicine, the Chinese medicine, the knowledge is not from sages, not from witchcraft. It is actually from the accumulation of the experience of human beings. So these are some of the evidence. And also from this evidence, we also can see how long Chinese medicine has been practiced. Because these books already kept the herbal medicine, and these books were written 3,000 years ago, or about 2,000 years, but they keep the story, the knowledge of 3,000 years ago. The next one is the wine and decoction. The invention of wine is very important in Chinese medicine. Wine as a medicine can enhance the circulation, can relieve a lot of pain. We use worm a lot in herbal medicine. The decoction, that's how to the most important form of preparing herbal medicine. We still use the decoction form to prepare the herbal medicine. These inventions, especially the decoction, change the raw herbs to cooked herbs, change it from single herbs to a formula of different ingredients. So these are great inventions in Chinese medicine. In Zhou 3,000 years ago, the etiquette, we kept the medical system as dietitians, food therapy. In, in variety diseases, 起医, in traumatic diseases, and vet. So they have different specialties and also the assessments. At that time, they already have the assessments for the doctors. How do they assess the doctors? They ranking by the healing results. If you heal 10 out of 10 patients, you got excellent. Followed by 9 out of 10, followed by 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. So this assessment will determine the salaries of the doctors from the imperial government. It also will determine your performance next year. Different grades. As you can see, these standards are these standards were much higher than your standard now. You got 50% per passing. But you can see here, 3,000 years ago, for Chinese medicine, we required at least 70%. 6 out of 10, that's the worst one. If you got less than 6, if you treat 10 patients, only 6 of them recovered, you fail. So that's the assessment for doctors 3,000 years ago. As you can see, that's from here. The Chinese medicine medical system has developed for quite a long time, and it kept developing as the history developed. We kept this medical system. We become more detailed. The food therapy become the dietitian. The one variety of diseases, we separate them into internal diseases, external diseases, pediatrics, gynecologists. So we based on the original system from 3,000 years ago. As the history develops, we develop the system more in details in different specialties. We develop the assessments from ranking of the healing results, from the assessment of the writing test, the practical assessments. As the time develop, you will see how all these aspects has developed. The medical education, the medical system, and the clinical practice. You can see all these developments for thousands of years. In this video, we have introduced the main theories that we use in Chinese medicine. Although these theories are not the theories specifically for Chinese medicine, but we employed this theory into our practice. From the next video, we are going to discuss the 4 classics. The 4 classics are the most important classics in our study. Although we use the modern language, we use the modern words, the modern Chinese, we use the English, but the original text was from the 4 classic. So if in the next video, we're going to introduce the 4 classics. Thank you for your attention.